$1.8 billion. One person, no employees, no office, just a living room in Los Angeles. He built a direct-to-consumer weight loss drug company by himself, and that's the number it reportedly hit by April 2026. No co-founder, no VP of anything, no headcount at all, just a guy, a product, and some kind of system nobody's fully explained yet. That should break your mental model, because everything we know about how companies work, departments, org charts, teams doing specialized jobs, assumes you cannot do this alone. The complexity ceiling is supposed to stop you long before $1 billion. Sam Altman stood up and said AI would make one-person billion-dollar companies not just possible, but inevitable. Not a theory, not a distant scenario. He said it was coming fast, and a lot of smart people nodded and then went back to building their 50-person startups. But what if one of them already got there? That's the thing nobody's answered. Who is this guy? How did he actually build it? And why does one living room unicorn mean everything we thought we knew about scaling a company might already be obsolete? Here's the thing nobody talks about. The org chart, that thing every company on Earth runs on, wasn't some genius design. It was a workaround. 200 years ago, you had factories. Suddenly you had 50 people doing different things in the same building, and nobody knew who was supposed to talk to whom. So you drew a box, then another box, then a line between them. Problem solved. HR exists to coordinate people. Legal exists to coordinate risk. Finance coordinates money. Ops coordinates everything else. Every single layer in a traditional company. It's not there because work demands it. It's there because humans needed to talk to other humans at scale. And then AI happened. Cursor writes your production code. Claude handles your ops workflows. AI agents answer your customers at 3 in the morning without asking anyone for permission. The entire coordination stack, the thing that made companies need 50 people, is now available to one person for a few $100s a month. The workaround just got worked around. So if the org chart was always the solution to one problem, and that problem is gone, the question isn't whether solo companies can scale. The question is what comes next. And nobody's figured that out yet. 3 people figured it out, separately, at roughly the same time. Sam Altman went first. His framing was almost insultingly simple. A laptop, the internet, and smart tools. That's it. No seed round. No co-founder. No office lease. He wasn't being poetic. He was making a structural argument. Capital and headcount were never the point. They were the tax you paid to get things done. And now you don't have to pay it. Then Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, the company that built Claude, put a number on it. 70 to 80% odds that the first solo billion-dollar startup happens in the near term. Not eventually. Not someday. That's an unusually precise thing for a CEO to say publicly. CEOs hedge. Amodei didn't. And then Umjud Masad, who runs Replit, the platform where 500,000 people are already building software alone, said it flat out in March 2026. A solo billion-dollar company is closer than you think. Not a thought experiment. A timeline. Here's what's strange about this. These 3 don't agree on everything. They're competitors in some lanes. But they landed on the same answer, unprompted, within months of each other. So either they're all wrong, or one of them already knows something the rest of us haven't seen yet. Turns out, someone does. In March 2026, the Wall Street Journal ran a story about something called the Lean AI Leaderboard, a public tracker of founders running entire companies alone. Not a blog post, not a LinkedIn thread, a named, public dataset with real entries. One of those entries, a founder behind a company called Polsha. He hit $4.5 million in annual recurring revenue in approximately 30 days. Solo. No employees. No office. Think about that number. That's the milestone most VC-backed startups spend 18 months and multiple funding rounds trying to reach. One person hit it in a month. Then there's the second case, and you actually already heard it. The anonymous founder Anthropic CEO cited, the one who built a $400 million company alone with AI. That's the same story from the opening. 2 completely separate data points. Same structural claim. One person, no team, real revenue at scale. So these aren't predictions anymore. The leaderboard is public. The journal covered it. Dario Amodei didn't gesture at some vague future. He put a number on it. 70 to 80% odds. When a CEO gives you a specific probability range, that's a real position, not a hype cycle talking point. The "is this real" question closes here. The numbers exist. The sources are named. But closing that loop immediately breaks open a harder one. If one person hit $4.5 million in a month, if another quietly built to $400 million alone, Why hasn't every solo founder already done this? Here's the actual answer. Matteo Mirabelli built a company called Noli completely alone. No employees. And he didn't just build it. He published exactly how it runs. 8 AI agents. Each one owns a distinct business function. One handles content. One manages customer inquiries. One tracks analytics. Mirabelli coordinates all of them. He's not doing the work. He's directing it. That's the version of the story that gets shared on Twitter. But Mirabelli also documented where the system breaks down. And that part doesn't travel as far. The first failure point is handoffs. When one agent finishes a task and needs to pass context to the next one, things fall apart at the seams. The second is edge cases, situations the agents weren't built to handle, where a human has to step in and make a judgment call. And the third failure point is the one nobody wants to say out loud. You are the single decision node for everything. Every call, every error, every moment the system stalls, it comes back to you. There's no one to check with, no one to catch you. The real team size is 9. 1 human, 8 agents. But only one of those 9 makes a decision or carries any of the weight. Only one draws a salary. That's the mechanical reality. But there's a layer underneath the mechanics that you won't find in any founder's LinkedIn post. Here's what the LinkedIn posts skip. The tech works. That part is done. But the second your one-person company hits serious scale, you run into something no AI agent can fix. Vora IQ called it the infrastructure gap. Legal entities, banking, liability, compliance, all of it was designed for companies with multiple people. Not because it had to be, because it always was. Nobody redesigned the scaffolding. Try opening a business bank account as a company with 0 employees and a 10-figure valuation. Try raising a Series A when your cap table has one name on it. Enterprise customers have procurement departments built around org charts, plural people, plural departments, plural sign-offs. Practitioners on Reddit were hashing this out in May 2026. The consensus wasn't that the technology fails. It works. The real wall is human trust, fundraising optics, regulatory identity. To most institutional eyes, a one-person company at unicorn scale doesn't look like a breakthrough. It looks like a fraud risk. The LinkedIn posts celebrate the capability without touching the constraint. Banks didn't adapt. Investors didn't adapt. The legal system didn't adapt. The bottleneck moved from what one person can do to whether the world around them will treat them like a real company. Which means the question isn't whether a solo founder can build something worth $1 billion. The evidence says they can. The real question is whether the infrastructure holding them back is just friction that eventually gets solved, or whether it's the actual ceiling on everything. But here's where someone pushes back hard. Forbes, May 2026. Not a Reddit thread. Forbes. Their argument. A 2-person team outperforms a solo operator every single time. Not because of the technology, because of sanity. The tech ceiling isn't what breaks you. Being the single point of failure for everything, every decision, every crisis, every 3 a.m. disaster with no one to call. That's what breaks you. Reddit practitioners spent months on this. Founders who actually ran solo said the same thing. The stack holds. The psychology doesn't. And then there's the elephant in the room. The LA weight loss founder, the one this whole video opened with, has no verified public identity. No sec fighting. No name attached to the number. Critics call it a LinkedIn myth, a figure inflated for engagement. $1 billion valuation with no face. They're not entirely wrong to ask. Billionaire operating from his living room is exactly the kind of story the internet manufactures for clicks. If the entire thesis rests on one unverifiable case, the thesis has a real problem. But there's actually 20 years of hard exit data on this question. Real founders, real acquisitions, real numbers, and what it shows about whether solo founders actually exit for more than co-founder teams. That might be the last thing anyone expected. Here's what the data actually says. Outcast Ventures, 20 years of real exit numbers, real acquisitions, found that co-founder teams who already knew each other exit for less than solo founders. Less. The conventional wisdom that you need a co-founder isn't just outdated. It's backwards. Now the LA founder, the $1.8 billion guy with no verified name and no public face. That's not a caveat to the story. That's the point. The business world literally cannot process a unicorn with no org chart attached to it. Remember the org chart from the beginning. Every company since the Industrial Revolution built one because coordination required headcount. No other way. Sam Altman's version, a laptop, the internet, smart tools. That's the whole list. The coordination problem is solved. What replaces the org chart is agentic infrastructure, not people. The bottleneck isn't technology. It's psychological adoption lag. Banks, investors, enterprise buyers, they're all still running on systems designed for multi-person companies. They haven't caught up. But that gap is closing faster than anyone sitting inside a traditional org chart wants to admit. Which leaves one real question. Not whether this is possible, it is. The question is what a solo founder actually does with that information right now, before the adoption lag closes and everyone else figures it out. Here's the actual answer. Mirabelli documented exactly 2 places his 8-agent system breaks. Handoffs between agents where context gets lost, and edge case calls that still need a human. Those aren't bugs to fix later. That's your design brief before you build anything. Map those 2 problems on paper today. Then pull up the Lean AI leaderboard. Wall Street Journal, March 2026. Real names, real revenue figures, real agent stacks. All public. It's not a mood board. It's a blueprint. Which of those 2 failure points do you think kills more solo founders before they ever hit 1 million? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone.